Thanksgiving isn't just a holiday. It's a heartbeat. A moment to pause, to breathe, and to say, God, you've been so good to us. It's not about the perfect pie, or even the perfect turkey, though let's be honest, we're thankful for that too. It's about gratitude for the big things, for the small things, and for everything in between. It's about looking back and realizing, through every high and every low, God never left. So this week, we laugh louder, we hug tighter, and we thank the one who gives us what we need. We are the people of God, and that means we are people of gratitude, not just today, but every day, not just here, but everywhere. So from all of us to all of you, happy Thanksgiving.
So this month we have been talking about being thankful and how thankfulness in our lives is a journey, and how we can cultivate a mindset of thankfulness in the good times and the bad times, when the Thanksgiving feast is way off in the future, and when the Thanksgiving feast is upon us. And so 2 weeks ago, we started this series and we talked about the seed and how the preparation for Thanksgiving really starts when the seed is put in the ground and the feast is way in the future. And how can we cultivate a mindset of thankfulness in our lives now when we're tempted, because we are either excited or nervous, to drag the future into our present? How can we maintain ourselves in the present and be thankful for now? And then last week, we talked about this idea of the work. The seed is planted, and then the seed becomes a plant, and that plant takes a lot of work. And this is where we feel like we live our lives most days. Just the daily grind, the in and the out, the things that we do day in, day out, that make up our everyday lives. And so how can we cultivate an attitude of thankfulness and a mindset of thankfulness in the midst of our everyday work? And we talked about 4 practical ways that we can work on that. At the end of the day, here's what this month is all about. Thankfulness and being thankful is not something that happens once a year. And I think at the end of the day, we recognize that. But I think a lot of times what is communicated, and a lot of times what we think, is that thankfulness is a switch that we can flip on and flip off. And someone will say, just be thankful, just flip that switch, you can be thankful. But in reality, thankfulness is this journey that we travel on. It's this skill that we develop. It's a mindset that takes some work and takes some intentionality. And so how can we be thankful in every step of that journey? So we've talked about when the Thanksgiving feast is way off. We've talked about the work when the Thanksgiving feast is closer. And tonight we are going to talk about when here it is, it's upon us, the Thanksgiving feast is here, and being thankful in those moments of your life that you will never forget. Do you guys have any moments that you have experienced in your life so far that you will never forget? This week I sat down in my office and I tried to put myself back into middle school and high school, which I do often for my lessons. And I thought, all right, what were some experiences in my life through middle school and high school that were like experiences that I will never forget? Obviously, as an adult, I have lots of those, being married, having kids, all that good stuff. But when I was in middle school and high school, what are some things that happened in my life? And so I came up with a few. I will never forget the moment that my dad took me to a video rental store. It was right before I was in middle school. I was in elementary school, just about to go into 6th grade. And he said, CJ, I want to introduce you to a movie. So we went to the video rental store, and we got the VHS. Yes, it was VHS back then. And I remember going home and popping the VHS tape into the VHS player on a small TV, like, I don't know, like this big, and it was on a really old, like, roll-away cart. And I remember sitting there and for the first time ever watching Star Wars A New Hope. And I loved it. Now, I know Star Wars is one of those things where some people love it, some people hate it, and that's neither here nor there. But here's what happened, is that I watched that movie with my dad, and I could not wait to watch the others. Now, this was in an era where you couldn't so much binge watch like we do. Like today, it was, you got to go to the store and you got to find the VHS, and you got to make sure it was rewound and all that good stuff. And so it took me a while to get through the movies, but I was so excited. Like, that was a moment in my life that affected me through high school and college, and I still love Star Wars up until today. But I remember, like, I had that moment, and then high school rolls around and the prequel movies come out. And, those were kind of hit or miss to some people, but I was pumped. I was super excited. And when episode 1 came out, my friends and I went to the theaters at midnight, dressed up, lightsabers in hand, super excited to watch episode 1 with Jar Jar Binks. We were pumped. One of those moments that I will never forget. Another moment I'll never forget was the transition from elementary school to middle school. Maybe some of you have experienced this. I was a mess. I was just a wreck. It was such a difficult transition for me. I was so nervous about working my locker with my locker combination and making sure that I got to my locker and then got to my class on time, and that I had all the books that I needed for my locker, and that I made sure that I made it from one class down the hallway to the next class and transitioning. It was all just so nerve-wracking to me. As a matter of fact, at least once a year, I still have dreams where I cannot get into my combination locker, and I wake up at night and I go, oh, I'm an adult, it's okay. I'm not going to school anymore. Like, it was just one of those moments, just a life-defining moment that I will never, ever forget. I remember the summer after my freshman year of high school, I went on a CIY trip, which many of you have joined us on CIY trips. Great trips over the summer. And it was at that CIY trip, summer after my freshman year of high school, that I felt like God was saying in my heart, hey, you might want to go into ministry. And I was terrified. Matter of fact, like, it was one of those things that I was like, no, I think I'm good. I don't think that's necessarily for me. And it was this whole long process of me finally deciding to go into ministry. And it was just this life-defining moment that I will never forget. All right, one more. As I entered my junior year of high school, and I'm not sure what shifted in my mindset, but I started to gain confidence in who I was as CJ. And it was this moment that allowed me to gather healthy, solid friends around me, and allowed me to be more of who I am as CJ without the worry or the fear of making sure that I fit in. And it was just this life-defining moment that I will never forget. And that's the Thanksgiving moments in our lives. The moments where we have a feast. And some of those moments are exciting and joyous and thankful, and some of those moments are filled with adversity and difficulty, but they're these moments that take our life from where we are now, and they nudge it, whether it's in a big way, like changing your career path, or whether it's in a small way, like you like Star Wars now. They nudge our life in a certain direction. Tonight, I want you to take some time and examine the moments in your life that you'll never forget. What are some of those moments for you? Both good and difficult. Because there's something special about taking some time and just pausing and reflecting, these were Thanksgiving meals for me. These were defining moments in my life. These are things that I can be thankful for. Because whether it's a joyous time or a difficult time, those moments shape us into who we are. Psalm 100 is this psalm of thanksgiving, and I absolutely love this psalm, and so we're gonna look at it tonight. Psalm 100, verses 1 through 5. I'll read all of it, and then we'll kind of break it down a little bit, because I think it says more than what we think it says off the top. It says, "Shout for joy to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come before him with joyful songs. Know that the Lord is God. It is he who made us, and we are his. We are his people, the sheep of his pasture. Enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and praise his name, for the Lord is good, and his love endures forever. His faithfulness continues through all generations." As I think about enjoying the Thanksgiving feast and the moments in life that I will absolutely never forget, this psalm is an absolutely incredible description of how to be thankful in those moments. And so let's take a look at this real quick. Psalm 105, just starting in verses 1 through 2. "Shout for joy to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come before him with joyful songs." This is what we typically think about when we think about being thankful. This is what we think about when we think about Thanksgiving feasts, is this joyous, thankful. We're going to shout for joy to the Lord. We are going to worship the Lord. We are glad. We are excited. Things are going well in our lives. Things are joyful. But the psalmist, the author of this psalm, does not leave us in this joyous moment. Because I think the author of this psalm recognized that there are moments in life that are joyful and defining moments, and we can be excited about, and that is fantastic. But we can also be thankful for the moments in life that aren't always joyous, that aren't always easy, that may be filled with adversity, because in those moments, God can also take us and say, here's a Thanksgiving feast, and we're going to nudge your life a direction. Because let's be honest, we have all experienced Thanksgiving feasts, and when you are going into Thanksgiving, you think about how incredible it's going to be and what a joyous occasion it's going to be, and then maybe you get there and the turkey is dry and the noodles are burnt, and maybe someone is really grumpy, and it's not all this incredible, joyous, amazing occasion always. Sometimes Thanksgiving can be difficult. And so this psalmist continues in verse 3, and he says this. You're okay. Know that the Lord is God. It is he who made us, and we are his. We are his people, the sheep of his pasture. Now, this is what I love about the way that he talks about being thankful, and the way that he includes this in a psalm that is known for its thankfulness. The original listeners would have understood that, first of all, he is God. It is he who made us. It is he who made us as we are, with our own personalities, our own interests, our own individuality. God made us. We can have confidence in who God created us to be. And the second thing they would have recognized is that when he says, we are his people, the sheep of his pasture, that would have been a very common, well-known metaphor. Thank you, in that time. Because sheep and shepherding was something that happened often. And what they would have recognized is that sheep in a pasture often get scared. Sheep in a pasture often get nervous. Sheep in a pasture need a lot of care and face a lot of adversity and face attacks. And there is a shepherd that is there protecting his sheep. And as I look back over my own life and my own life moments, and I think about the Thanksgiving feast, not all of my Thanksgiving feast moments have been joyous and happy. 6th grade was really, really difficult for me. It was really, really hard. There was a lot of adversity, and I had some teachers like Mr. Castor that came alongside me and helped me work through that, and I had some other people that came alongside me and were helpful in me navigating that time in my life. And as I think about deciding to go into ministry, like that was a super duper scary time for me. Like I was terrified. I did not want to change what I thought I was going to do and do something different. But as I look back on that, I see that even in the difficult times of my life, God has been there walking with me through those difficult times. Maybe some of you have faced some times in your life where it's just hard. Maybe some of you are living that right now, and it's hard to understand how this could possibly be good. Maybe you've experienced the loss of a loved one. Maybe your parents have gone through a divorce. Maybe you have had a friend that has stabbed you in the back. Maybe you have experienced some health issues that are just really, really hard. And it's hard in those moments to see, this is what Thanksgiving is about. Like this is my feast. But I want you to realize that even in the midst of difficult times, it's often in those difficult moments that we look back and we see that God was right there next to us, guiding us through. And some life-defining moments are incredible and joyous and absolutely amazing. Some Thanksgiving feasts that just go perfect. And some life-defining moments are scary and difficult and filled with adversity. And when we look back on those moments, we recognize, wow, that wasn't a Thanksgiving feast that went perfect. That wasn't a Thanksgiving feast that I ever want to experience again. I have tons of those, guys. That wasn't a Thanksgiving feast that I ever want anyone else to have to experience. But it's a Thanksgiving feast that I can look back on and be thankful for, because it changed the direction of my life, and I see God leading me through it. Now, it's easy to look back and be thankful once you've made it to the other side. If you are experiencing those moments in your life right now, I want to encourage you to hold on. You don't have to pretend like everything is good. You don't have to be like, I'm so thankful right now. My life is fantastic. No, sometimes in the midst of those life-defining moments that are filled with adversity, we rely on the shepherd to help us through. And we just walk through those moments and we hold on. We don't have to pretend like everything is okay. We just walk through those moments relying on God. And guys, in middle school and high school, that can be really, really hard. But I want to encourage you that if you can walk through difficult moments now, that you will be able to face difficult moments in the future. And you will continue to look back and see that there was a shepherd that was leading you through those difficult moments. And you can be thankful, not necessarily for the difficulty, but for where God led you through that difficult situation. And then this short psalm finishes up, and he brings it all around to a nice complete circle, and he says this: enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and praise his name, for the Lord is good, and his love endures forever. His faithfulness continues through all generations. In good times, exciting times, Thanksgiving feasts that go perfect in our life, and in really difficult times, God's love endures forever. And here's what I want to say. As I think about the Thanksgiving meal and the moments that in my own personal life I will never forget, I realize this: I've been loved through all of them. God has always been there. He's always been by my side. He's always been celebrating with me in the good times, and he has always been holding me as I cry on his shoulder in the difficult times. The Thanksgiving meals in my life that go perfect, he sits down and he eats with me. And the Thanksgiving meals that are really difficult, he pulls me aside and he says, I'm here for you. And God does that for you too. You're so loved. In the great, fantastic, amazing times of your life, he is there and he is your biggest fan and your biggest cheerleader, and he's jumping up and down and celebrating with you. And in the incredibly difficult, hard moments, he is there holding you and checking on you and helping you walk through those moments. He is faithful, and he is so incredibly loving. In every moment, good and bad, know this: you are so incredibly loved. And so the practical challenge tonight is simply this. I want you to think back over your life. Take some time this week and think, in my life right now, what are some life-defining moments that I have experienced? What are some things in my life that I look back and I say, all right, here, this happened. Whether it was good or whether it was bad, this happened. And my life went a direction. And really acknowledge those moments. What are some that have been joyful? What are some that have been fearful? What are some that have caused pain? What are some that you had to just really overcome some difficulties? And really look at your life and examine, how did those bring me to where I am today? Because when we can look back at our past and we can see, I experienced something here that brought me to where I am today, we can look to our future and the future Thanksgiving feasts that we are going to experience, joyful and difficult. And we can say, no matter what comes my way, no matter what Thanksgiving feast is down the road for me, I know that I am going to be loved, and God is going to be faithful, and he is going to be there walking me through it and guiding me, and my life is going to go the direction that God would have it go. God is good. You are loved in the good times and the bad times. And when you look at your life and you say, I can celebrate in the good times, I can make it through the difficult times without having to pretend that it's okay. You can say, in the future, I'm going to celebrate in the good times. And I know I can make it through the difficult times without having to pretend that everything's okay. Because God is there and he loves me. Let me pray for you guys. God, thank you so much for your love.